Hello and welcome to the weekend review. Those that were with me on the live will know that this is me just after the live. I thought Christmas is coming up. I want to spend time with the family, so I'm going to get this review out of the way. What a night of boxing. The day of reckoning was definitely the night of reckoning. As um, Frank Warren quite rightly said, there would be some upsets on the card. Anyway, without further ado, I'm Abs of October Red. Welcome to the channel. And like I said earlier, this is the weekend review, but it's kind of not, because this is all about the day of reckoning. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it sweet. We're going to fly through the fights and speak about potential options. I always like to say thank you to everybody that is subscribed to the channel. Thank you for the shares, the comments, the likes, whatever it is that you do to be interactive with the channel. I really, really appreciate it. And you guys are helping us grow. We had a bit of tough competition over the weekend because lots of channels were doing watch alongs. So I guess the traffic was going to kind of filter across each of the platforms on YouTube. And obviously, the more popular, the more channels with the larger numbers were going to get the numbers. But what I would like to say is a massive thanks to those that stuck in my chat, the regulars, the ones that are always there. You guys are absolutely awesome. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to start. We're going to talk about the week itself, the build up, everything surrounding the cards, the fact that we had 8 fights on one card. We had Matchroom, and Matchroom, Wasserman, Frank Warren, everybody working together except for Sky Sports Boxing. That was the only promoter that wasn't on there. We went as far as to get Shelley Finkel from America, Dimitri Salita from America. You had Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Nissa Sauerland. Everyone was there together, and it was really good to see that His Excellency, and I will say that because that's his salutation, Turki Al Sheikh, has managed to get that money to make these things happen. If you think you're like, money's not really a problem. You're not really in a predicament where you need money. But if you like money and there's an opportunity to make more, and you've got to make business peace with a rival of yours, are you going to do it? Are you going to make your fighters make a lot more money than they could have ever have made? And then in turn, you're lining your pockets as well. You're going to do it, aren't you? And like they say, everyone has a price. And that price is we were entertained. We had 8 fights on the card. So leading up to it, we had some really good conversations coming out of, I'm going to say, the conversations that I listened to this week were mainly from Kugan Cassius of IFL. I like the fact that he got a Frank Warren interview. I know that Umar's no longer with IFL, so it is really good to hear Kugan Cassius sit down with Frank Warren. Really good conversation. The fact, that they're talked about, obviously, the YouTube outlets, and over the years, with those guys beefing, it's because of like the clickbait that was there, and he said, she said, and they hadn't actually come together and sat down and thought, well, actually, you're all right, because that was kind of the general consensus from both Eddie and Frank. That were saying, well, actually, now that I've spoke to you, you're actually all right. There's not an issue. You're actually a nice person. And it was like all of that drama had kind of like been down to the channels, and what we used to say, what a Jamaican word for it is carrig or brinkum. In other words, just mix up, just causing havoc for no apparent reason. But there was some, good fights. We had Sanchez versus Farr. That was like the first fight. Round 7, stoppage for that. Sanchez, was he 23-0, Farr 21 and 3, 20 and 4 now. He's got 4 losses now. I think that was it. I don't think I looked at the scores updated. Interesting fight. I thought Sanchez was a bit tentative to start off with, and I thought, because usually I thought he's going to go in for the kill, he's going to get the job done, but he took his time. I thought, okay, let's watch, let's see how what he's up to, what he's doing, what his tactics are. We know that Junior Farr went in with Parker, and I'd say the old Parker, because that was, competitive. It wasn't a one-sided fight. But in this fight, Sanchez took his time, warmed up, and then managed to get, that round 7 stoppage where he just took the life out of Farr. And we saw that when we saw Farr start to go on the back foot, when it's like you're backpedaling, you're like, oh dear, trouble's here. Now I'm feeling the power. Now I know I'm in trouble. And sometimes it's written on the boxers' faces. Sometimes you can't see it. It's not as obvious, but we saw it there. And then obviously that was it. He was down round 7. So yeah, a good fight to start off on the card. And what I will say, the fights happened a lot quicker and earlier than I suspected. But yeah, they went through quite quickly. And after that, we had obviously Hrgović versus Demori. And to me, that was a pointless fight. No disrespect to Demori. He's the fighter. He's got, 46, 47 fights. Experienced fighter. But he just never came to win. I just saw it as, let's just have a fight. Let's collect some money. Round 1, TKO. And it was just like he turned up. So that was a little bit anticlimactical, but it was a stoppage nevertheless. I think Hrgović has kind of got this drive back that he had before his father passed away. He seems to have this hunger that's come back into him for the boxing. And he seemed to have brightened up with that this week. We saw a different energy with that this week. Even things that he was saying at the press conference, he was more aggressive. He was more like, I'm going to do this. He was on the hunt. Because obviously there's a prize at the end of it. He knows where he's going, and it's the IBF route. That's the route that he's talking about. And obviously we can move on to the options now for Anthony Joshua in regards to that as well. So to me, poor fight, but Hrgović got the win. And maybe we'll start to see more of El Animal and see him active and in more fights. Next fight up was Jai Opetaia versus Ellis Zorro. And, albeit I wish the best for Ellis. Lovely guy. Spoke to him a couple of times. Round 1. Straight down. I think he caught him clean on the bottom there. And that was it. Went down. And there was a bit where I was looking at his face, looking at his eyes, thinking, is he all right? Because that was, a clean shot from Jai Opetaia. Didn't seem like he warmed up into it. And the thing is with Jay, he's got this thing about him where he's just hungry, and he just seemed like, I knocked him out, but I still want to fight somebody else now. It feels like he's got a lot to get off his chest. It's almost like he takes out his frustrations, or, he just wants to fight. He's got that in him that he has to, one for a better word, he has to release that out of his system. He's got that about him. It's like fighting's almost like food for him, and he doesn't seem satisfied with his food, and now he wants something else and something else after that. Commiserations to Ellis. Losing to Jai Opetaia is it's not a bad loss on your record. Yes, it's a loss, but it's not a bad loss. You go away, you learn, you come back again. And congratulations to Jai, who, like I said, has got this hungry attitude where he wants to go after everybody. There's some mention that, possibly. And I thought, why, Badu Jack, why wouldn't he be there? He's got the WBC. I think he fought Makabu for that. Was it February this year? Can't remember. It might have been February this year he fought Makabu. I think it was in Dubai he fought for that belt. So I think that's probably a good belt for him to have, because obviously he's had to vacate the IBF. So I don't know if that pushes him back down the rankings, as now obviously the IBF is up for grabs. whoever that goes to, who's next in the list, or whichever promoters can pay whoever to step aside to make their fighters go in and fight. I can see that happening, but we'll see what happens in the new year. But yeah, Opetaya, I don't see him having a problem unifying, even becoming undisputed cruiserweight. I can see him having all the belts. I think he's a problem for a lot of people. There's some mention that he's going to go up and try to become a 3-weight world champion. So I don't know if it's that new super cruiserweight or if it's bridgerweight, whatever it is, and then eventually go up to heavyweight. He's just keen to collect, and he's ambitious, and he's hungry, and he's 28, and that's what he wants to do. So whatever cruiserweights are not thinking about facing him, there's a possibility if you guys go up to heavyweight, he's coming up to heavyweight with you. So yeah, he's probably one of them fighters where people probably prefer to fight him on when he's on the decline in his career, which I can't see happening from now because, like I said, he's 28, he's really young. So yeah, congratulations there. Frank Warren mentioned that there'd be upsets on the card, and it seemed as if Makhmudov was the favourite. I saw Makhmudov, what he did last time in Saudi. Haven't followed his career or the career of Ajit Kabayel. So I made the presumption that Makhmudov would probably get the win. Ajit is, I think he's a European champion. So he's got a belt there. And obviously he's retained it. The shorter man, the David and Goliath story, he was able to knock Makhmudov down 3 times, was it? In round 4 and cut him. And then obviously the last one, they said no more. That's it, called it off. And it was really good, sustained attacks to the body, and then you're constantly getting hit in the face until you just don't know what day it is. Those concussive shots. So good work by Ajit Kabayel. He's happy with his win. Even like with him, with the lead up in the press week, he just didn't seem really that confident, or maybe that's just the way he is. Like I said, he's not a fighter who I've traditionally followed, so I can't really talk about his personality. But those of you that know Ajit, please feel free to comment down below in the comment section, obviously. Also, I thought that Makhmudov and Jalolov would have been a good future fight. No, I have to take that back. I tweeted that or X'd. I X'd that. I'm going to have to take that back now because Jalolov would take Makhmudov for a walk. There's good nights and there's bad nights, but no, Jalolov is something else. So yeah, but the next fight, Dubois versus Miller. Now a lot rode on this fight. I was there at the press conference with Don Charles and Daniel Dubois when he was taking on Usyk, the English leg of the press conference before they went out to Poland. And we all know what happened there. Not going to go over that. But Don Charles was so happy to have Daniel on his team, to be training him, to be settling in with Daniel, to have the good relationship with Daniel and Daniel's father, who's a close part, of, what Daniel does. So fair enough, they didn't get the result last time. But this time it was good to see. Daniel, has been labelled as a quitter. He's been given the nicknames Triple Knee or whatever, not Triple D, Triple Knee. A lot of things have been, said about him, derogatory things, and he's had to listen to that. And, us boxing fans, we can be brutal. It's not a word, I don't like to throw that word around. It's not something that I do, but obviously I'm a fan, so I know what I hear. And I think with this fight, he just wanted to prove, that he's not that guy, and he will stay in there, and he will go toe to toe, and he will stand up and fight. Yes, you could argue that Miller was terribly out of shape, but he was still tough. He still wasn't going back. And even in the final round, excuse me, when Daniel got that technical knockout, when he stopped him, Miller was still literally coming forward until he couldn't take any more. Don't get me wrong, Miller was knackered. He was exhausted. But Daniel was listening to the instructions given by his corner. He was going back into the corner. They were telling him how he was doing, telling and shouting out those commands when he was in the ring, saying, get back to boxing. Don't go inside with him. Get back to boxing. Move laterally, side to side. We saw a lot more movement from Daniel this time, which I enjoyed to watch as well, because every time Miller would try and like push him back onto the ropes, he would loop under Miller and like pivot out and end up facing, like the pivot, just turning and facing the other way, and Miller would turn around and wouldn't be able to get his shots off. So there's some good nice little ring craft that we were seeing there from Daniel that looked really good, looked really impressive, and it was, it was just nice to see. Nice to see him get the win. So absolutely, I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his team. And, all week he's heard it. He's got a lot to prove. He's got to show that he's got the heart, from his promoter, from other journalists that were there. So that pressure was on, but he rose to the occasion. He didn't back down. And 4 weeks notice or not, he still stopped Jarrell Miller. So good for him. Massive congratulations to Daniel. Commiserations to Miller. And I will, fair enough, Miller's got the PED thing behind him. I wouldn't even say it's behind him. It's almost still walking with him, even though he's done his ban, etc. He brought a lot of entertainment to the card. He made people wake up. He kept people on their toes. He walked around causing trouble and brought more eyes onto it. He's entertaining. And I've always said it, and I'll say it again. I would like to see him fight Dillian White, but obviously with Miller in better shape. But we'll see what happens in the future for that. Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur. Points win. I think Bivol got Lyndon down. Can't remember what round it was now. Should have wrote that down, really. But he knocked him down. Lyndon stayed down, obviously, for the majority of the count, got back up, and really came back into the fight. It seemed to me, even though Lyndon's face was touched up from the punches that Bivol was giving to him, Lyndon was in the fight. There wasn't any quitting him. He still wanted to, come forward and literally fight to the end, albeit it was a dominant Bivol performance, because it was. It was a dominant performance, but now Lyndon's had to hand over his IBO, so it's unified now with Dimitri Bivol. So yeah, Bivol seemed slightly upset with himself, mentioned that he had an operation on his hand, mentioned that he didn't want to push himself too much because he wasn't sure if he had the power based on the operation on his hand. And there was a few times when I saw Dimitri and then I thought, why aren't you turning the screw? Why aren't you really pushing it in? Like, really up in those gears. You've got him hurt. Why aren't you continuing in? Why are you stepping back and resetting? Is it because you're gassing out? Are you not fit enough? What is it? But he mentioned, obviously, about the hand. But Lyndon Arthur, he did what he did. He said it was a short notice fight. I said that I noticed that he was limping at the first press conference. Who knows? He could have gone in there with an injury. But no excuses, right? Dimitri Bivol got the win. So massive congratulations to Dimitri. Commiserations to Lyndon Arthur. Yes, he'll come again. Dimitri said he wants the winner of Smith versus Beterbiev. And I still do strongly believe if Beterbiev comes through the Callum Smith fight, I do believe that he beats Bivol. I understand everyone saying that he's had an operation, he's old now, and this, that, and the other. I'm not fazed by any of that. I do really believe that Dimitri Bivol, like I said, should he come through, Callum Smith will beat Dimitri Bivol. Artur Beterbiev, should he come through the fight with Callum Smith, I do believe that he beats Dimitri Bivol. Artur Beterbiev is something else. He's not going to wait around. Once he gets on you, he's on you like a rash, and he'll stay on there until he's completed the job. And he's tactful, lovely to watch. And even though Dimitri's like in and out with his kind of style, I do think Artur Beterbiev will nullify that. I do strongly believe that. But we'll see. We will see. Anyway, Parker Wilder. What a fight that was. And a really good boxing match. I did say the banana skin was not Wallin, it was Parker. Because Parker would beat Deontay. I had a strong feeling that he would beat Deontay. He was the one that was going to be a problem. Because the thing is, Joseph Parker, and he doesn't get the credit for this, he's fought everybody except for Vlad and Tyson Fury. You have to remember that Joseph Parker was in there with all of them, and he was a world champion at 24, and it was AJ that took his belt off him. He's been around for a minute. He's an experienced boxer, and since he's joined up, like I said, like with Daniel Dubois, Don Charles, really good matchup. I like that matchup. I believe the same thing with Joseph Parker and Andy Lee. They said fire with fire. We saw a composed Joseph Parker, like he had that hunter style where he was hunting down Wilder, but he knew what he had to do. And when he was letting those shots go, he was really aggressive. Deontay Wilder was throwing that backhand, and he couldn't land it because every time he was throwing it, Parker was ducking down, so it was going over him. Or when he did land it, he was eating the shots. Parker didn't have, Parker's face looked quite clean. I think he might have had slight reddening under one eye, but that was it. A lovely win, a deserved win, an enjoyable win. I liked that match, but I'm not surprised of the result. Massive congratulations to Joseph Parker. Commiserations to Deontay Wilder. Everyone's saying now, do we still want to see AJ Wilder? Probably not, because I do think that it's one-sided. I understand that they say that styles make fights, but I believe those 3 fights that he had with Tyson Fury, and this is Deontay Wilder, may have took something out of him. We talk about inactivity. Then his own, he knocked out Helenius in that one round, etc., etc. But you have to remember, Joseph Parker's coming out the camp that had the blueprint to beat Wilder. So it was inevitable. And to me, Parker did it in a beautiful fashion, enjoyable to watch. Obviously, I enjoyed the Fury-Wilder fights. Of course, I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy them. But Parker did it like it was, you could see the tactics that he was applying to it. Good to watch. Credible win. Happy for Joseph Parker. It's like he has been revitalized. Somebody else that lost their belt, went away, come back, and he's coming back stronger. And Parker's still quite young as well. I think, what is he, 30, 31? I don't think he's old. So yeah, interesting. Might actually see AJ Parker too. Who knows? But yeah, exciting stuff. So yeah, congratulations, commiserations. Let's see what happens next. Saudi's got that mentality. Winner stays on. And then we're going to move on to the final event, the last event, which I said wasn't a banana skin, which I did say that AJ was going to stop him. I said he was going to stop him with a hook, and he did get the hook in. But surprisingly, and I didn't expect it, I knew that obviously AJ was breaking him down. Obviously, he's been in there. He's trained for the southpaw. He understands that style. We saw that he was like feinting and going to the body. We saw that the backhand, when he was landing that backhand, it was straight through the gloves of Otto Wallin and causing the damage to his face, the damage to his nose almost immediately. I think by round 2, that nose was splattered. And then we saw then the damage to the eye. The punishment, we saw it because Wallin started to go on the back foot. Yeah, he was throwing his shots. AJ was slipping a couple of them. A couple of them might have caught him. But you saw Wallin go onto the back foot, sort of like getting nervous, like, oh my, what's he going to be doing? Literally anticipating something coming out by Anthony Joshua, throwing out the parry hand and parrying shots that weren't even there. He was that like flinchy. It was nice to see he was put on the back foot. All the talk in the week, I get it. The talk up fights, yeah, you're weak mentally, you passed your peak, all of that, blah blah blah. And I knew from then, I just knew from the weigh-in that AJ was just going to do what he had to do. And that ended up with a retirement on the stool in round 5. I do beg your pardon. I did want to see like a knockout, like I wanted to see him on the floor, but he's retired on the stool. So he said, no more, no mass. It's one of them. So a massive congratulations to Anthony Joshua, commiserations to Otto Wallin. Styles make fights. And you could look at the comparables. You could say, look, Tyson Fury, life and death, really had a grueling fight with Otto Wallin. Yes, you could say that's years ago, but he still had a grueling fight with him. And then AJ, gets him to retire. There's comparables. We talk about, Tyson Fury versus Wilder, and then obviously what Joseph Parker's done as well. All of these, you look at them, and one thing is so apparent in boxing, the most cliche thing to say, but it's so true, and is that styles make fights. So the next thing is, what is next for AJ? Let us know in the comments. What do you want to see? What would you like to see? Because obviously now the IBF route. I spoke to 258 the other day, David Ganser from 258, and he said, look, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket. We've got to have options for AJ. One of them is Deontay Wilder. One of them is the IBF route. So you let us know in the comments, what do you want to see? Do you want to see AJ go to be, make that effort to be a 3-time world champion? Or do you still want to see the Wilder fight? Is that something that you feel that you need to see? Let us know in the comments. It was a good card. It was a good night. The future is looking like it's going to be Saudi. The future is looking like maybe, yes, there will be belts on the line, but I think the fights will take precedence. Is there a possibility that Saudi will now look at probably making their own belt? Who knows? Let us know what you think in the comments. This is me done for this side of the year. So a massive thank you to you. As I say, huge, humongous thank you. I'd like to say a Merry Christmas to all of you. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. Also, Happy New Year. May your year be prosperous in 2024. Maybe you get all the things you wish for. And remember, just be yourself. Be yourself. Be kind. Be helpful. But don't let anybody take the piss. And I think, you know what? I'm tired now. I'm going to bed. I've just done a 4.5, 5-hour live, and now I'm doing this wrap up so I can chill out with the family over Christmas. So Merry Christmas to all of you guys, and I'll see you in 2024. Yes, hopefully. We don't know, do we? Unless Gareth pops up. What happened to him? Who knows? He disappeared, chasing people down the runway in Saudi. He's got no time for October Red now, has he?